So my remit tonight is just to give you a really broad overview of the GLHs. And so I thought we'd start with where we started out. So not that long ago, we actually were part of 23 regional genetic laboratories. And the problem with this was that we basically could test for whatever we wanted. It wasn't prescribed. There wasn't a test directory. The labs grew up just testing. Some had more specialist tests than others, and most of them delivered the core test and some of the core cancer tests. But there wasn't particularly equity of access throughout the regions that we were serving, and there was certainly unmet need. So we all carried out DNA extractions in the majority of labs, and cancer and rare disease testing was also carried out in the majority, but there was a complete lack of coordination and efficiency. And there was over 35 molecular pathology laboratories who were undertaking solid tumour, haematology, genomic testing as well. So can I have the next slide, please? And you'll all remember as well, part of this, as it grew, we developed and formed these NHS genomic medicine centres. And there was 13 in total. 11 of them delivered the cancer element of the project. And basically, there was a lead organisation that built networks with other trusts as local delivery partners, and they were responsible for recruiting patients in the rare disease arm and also the cancer arm of the project. And there was a significant contribution from the genetics lab in this programme. It was also underpinned by a huge education programme and some patient involvement as well. Can I have the next slide, please? And so as we moved on and transformed, the GMC formed a legacy of where we needed to go. And as a genomics network, the NHSE proposed the formation of these new genomic laboratory hubs, 7 of which were established across England. So this is not a UK, this is an England-based genomic laboratory system, in which each GLH will have a single DNA extraction site for specialist service and exports. And a single laboratory will carry out the majority of core rare disease and cancer testing. And this is normally arranged through, like John said, this high throughput equipment such as the Illumina, NGS or array-based equipment, where you can see considerable efficiencies from batching samples. And this has all been done in the Northwest, out of the Manchester site. Also, there's this element of whole genome sequencing, and I'll come to that shortly, but there's a single whole genome sequencing submission site in each GLH, and again, that is the Manchester site for the Northwest. And they also have designated national specialist test providers to deliver specialist testing, and the Northwest GLH delivers 8 of those specialist tests. Can I have the next slide, please? So just to list and for reference, these are the 7 GLHs across England. And you can see that, the range, and the idea is they form to serve the entire geography across the whole of England. Could I have the next slide, please? And this slide just demonstrates who the partners are. Because of those 23 original laboratories, now there is a lead provider organisation. So for instance, in the West Midlands, you'll see that the Birmingham lab is the lead provider. That's the main, but they have other laboratories within their geography, such as Oxford and Salisbury, which serve their region, and these are their partners. And you've been able to grow up in a manner that basically suits each one in terms of, these different ways of the funding flows, but mostly they flow through a leader organisation with some subcontracts. But the way the Northwest setup is a little bit different, in that the Manchester hub is the lead provider, and then you'll recall that we also have a lab which was a regional laboratory in Liverpool, a diagnostic lab, and the Liverpool site is actually 2P transfer to a Manchester contract, so they're all under the same umbrella of the lead organisation, but there is still a site, fully functioning wet lab and dry laboratory in the Liverpool region. Can I have the next slide, please? So the national structure that's proposed, you'll see the sort of the light green bar in the middle demonstrates the genomic laboratory hubs. And underpinning that, and who we've partnered with, are our local laboratories and clinical services too. And these are some of your pathology departments within the region who offer genomic testing. We've also got an NHS WGS, a whole genome sequencing provider, a clinical interpretation pipeline, and a national data storage. And what's mandated for the GLH is that it delivers a list of genomic tests with external access to whole genome sequencing and provides services across the defined geography. They also were responsible for formally contracting other labs within their patch, so the money flows through one organisation, and that subcontracts are set up to pay other laboratories to carry out work, and they operate as a national network as well across England. Can I have the next slide, please? So this is built on the new laboratory web network, and this is basically that the 7 genomic laboratory hubs will deliver the heavy lifting of transformation and create a genomic medicine service, which will include leading new ways of working, building new local partnerships, which we've absolutely seen in the Northwest, because not only do we work with the Liverpool clinical laboratories, where John has a big presence there, we also work very closely with the Christie laboratory too. And we found I think that we've shown a better way of working by this collaboration. You've got the shaping and testing of the National Genomic Informatics System as well. And I'll let you read the rest. Can I have the next slide, please? So part of this, a key deliverable, obviously, for the Genomic Laboratory Hub is that we've got 2 national test directives. And, we have to deliver the mandated tests in those. That is one of the KPIs that we have to do. Now, there are 2 newly locked down test directories, and they're revised on a yearly basis. We've actually just had a consultation process, which closed at the end of January, in order for that test directory, both the rare disease and cancer test directory, to be updated. And just to give you some figures, the rare disease test directory contains core diseases 86, and it has 400 different specialist and highly specialist tests. And also what's being proposed for rare disease is there'll be 19 separate whole genome sequencing indications as well. For cancer's slightly different because all cancer tests are core, and that means every single GLH has to deliver every cancer test on the directory, barring some very rare ones which we've split up throughout England. And also, there's been proposed that there will be up to 134 whole genome sequencing indications under cancer, but 3 have currently gone live with paediatric cancers, sarcomas, and acute leukemias, which have gone live first. And this link there demonstrates the link. You'll be able to reach the national test directories through that link. Can I have the next slide, please? So I want to also show you, and this is quite new information, is that we tendered recently to become a Genomic Medicine Service Alliance, which was aligned with geographies of the GLHs. So basically those 7 GLHs are now there's an umbrella which is being created around them over an alliance, which basically forms partnerships and networks across the regions. Can I have the next slide, please? And the roles and responsibilities of this new Genomic Medicine Service Alliance, basically that it forms an effective partnership model across primary, tertiary, secondary and tertiary care providers. It standardises and implements models of care for genomic medicine across the entire geography for all conditions. And it establishes a strong clinical direction and multi-professional leadership. But there's also the element of this patient and public engagement and involvement, which did start with the GMC and is now moving on with the alliances. And also it's about creating an informed multi-professional workforce as well. But one of the key elements that we're looking at the moment is that this education side of it will infiltrate into different professions, the medical profession, the nursing and the pharmacist, and there'll be leads for each of those professions who will basically fly the flag for genomics and provide education to that workforce. There's also heavily featured within the Alliance is innovation, working with pharma, working with industry, facilitating genomic research and development, which we did see for somewhat, a little bit with the GMC, but this is much bigger. And one of the key deliverables as well for the Alliance is that we look at the legacy information that was created for the 100,000 genome. And those patients were actually consented, in most part, for additional findings. And it's those additional findings that will be returned through this Alliance that will continue to push those results back to those patients. Can I have the next slide, please? So just to finish, I just wanted to end on the Northwest GLH structure. As I alluded to before, there was 2 regional genomic laboratories within the Northwest, in the Manchester and the Liverpool. And now these are one team. We serve as one team. We're under one organisation, and that is Manchester Foundation Trust. We have 2 excellent partners that we work with across the Northwest, one being the Liverpool Clinical Laboratories, who deliver the HOD service and some solid tumour work, as John describes, around the lung cancer, and also the Christie, who deliver the cytogenetic element of the heme-onc work as well. Can I have the next slide, please? So now you can see how the work is delivered throughout those four testing sites. They're predominantly delivered from the Manchester and Liverpool site. 10% are delivered from the Christie, and approximately 5% of the activity across the Northwest, the genomic testing, out of Liverpool Clinical Laboratories. The next slide, please. And just to finish, I just thought I'd share with you, this is our GLH departmental structure. Obviously, you know that's myself, who's heads both sites of the GLH, and Helen is chairing for us today. Helen is our cancer lead, consultant clinical scientist. We have a heme-onc lead equivalent. We also have an RD lead, a rare disease lead. We have project management, and we also have, and we couldn't do it without them, the clinical leads as well that mirror the scientific leads in cancer, rare disease, and heme-onc. And it is this collaboration between the scientists and the clinical field that's really driving the genomic testing forward and being able to reach that unmet need that we've not previously been able to do. Thank you. I'll leave it there.